Hi all, welcome back to another episode of One Pitch Catch. This time the IPL is over and we have moved on to other cricket. Before India's tour of England commences, there's another big game coming up tomorrow. Australia versus South Africa, the WTC final of the 23-25 cycle. Uh, I just realized today that South Africa were actually number one on the table in the WTC table. Australia
Oh,
are two, are number two, and of course India number three. It doesn't matter. So Australia are fighting the number one team to win the WTC this time again. I mean, I think they won the last cycle also, so they
yeah,
would
they're
want.
defending champions.
So they're defending champions. They would want to win twice in a row. So what are your thoughts on WTC and the point system and everything? It doesn't
Yeah,
look straightforward, Jaga. What do you think?
there's been a lot of talk about how South Africa never really played against Australia or India or England or the so-called big three, right? I think they played series against Sri Lanka, New Zealand, perhaps I don't know who else West Indies, I think. So they kind of
Bangladesh also.
Bangladesh also. I mean, they certainly seem to have had a easier route into the final than maybe some of the other teams, but there was nothing that prevented them from doing so, right? So in the sense they basically gamed the system and used it for whatever it's worth. I mean, the WTC rules don't specify anything around you should play a minimum of so many series against all these teams. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. It allows you to play a minimum series of two tests. That's it. There's no other requirement, and that you should have played a minimum of 12 tests over the entire time frame. So as a result, what happens is I mean, South Africa are now not as high profile a team as they were, say, around 5, 6 years ago, right? So the chances that Australia, England, and India play against them that often is going to be lesser. I mean, just for reference, Australia and South Africa this is the first time they're playing each other since 2022, 23. I think they played each other over a three-test series in late 22, early 23, and after that, they have not played. Before that, it was early 2018 when you had that sandpaper series. So even Australia, South Africa, that used to be such a showcase event through most of the late 90s, 2000s, even I think until 2015 or something like that, is not at the same scale as it was earlier. So I mean that's partly also because of South Africa's own deterioration in terms of personnel results and things like that. So that's why they don't get these series against England and India, whereas Australia, England, and India seem to be playing each other so often, right? I mean, we just finished against Australia 6 months ago. Now now India is going to play in England. England is going to play Australia later this year, and then I think we have. I'm sure there's some other series scheduled in 26 between some combination of these three teams. If not tests, then at least ODIs or T20s. I think it's just a function of how the market has pushed South Africa to the brink, along with other teams like Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and maybe to some extent Bangladesh as well.
West Indies.
Uh, yeah, it's just the way it is. It's not their fault, but I would say, I mean, the name of the tournament is called ICC World Test Championship. So the ICC has every responsibility to make sure that it is conducting the tournament in a manner that it's fair and it reflects the actual structure of world cricket. Uh, Teams have to play each other home and away a minimum number of X series. Yeah, sure, there'll be some situations where India and Pakistan can't play each other. They'll have to figure out solutions around that. Like they're being creative about it for ICC limited overs events. Why can't they apply the same principles for test events? I would also say that uh, you should have I mean, I think the ICC asks for a minimum of two test series, but I would say that it should also say that only a maximum of three tests will be considered for the the WTC. You can play five test series, India, England, and Australia, but the last two tests will not count. So it's only the first three that count, because otherwise, what happens is that the number of tests that each team plays for the purpose of the WTC is very, very different from each other. I think England played like 22, South Africa played 12, Australia and India probably played in the high, teens or something like that.
19 or
So
something, yeah.
yeah, so I think there's some leveling that's needed. I think maybe giving extra weightage points for winning away is also something that the ICC needs to do, because we have seen over the last so many years that, except for a few stray cases here and there, pretty much most of the time teams are winning at home. So you have to give extra credit when a team's actually able to win away. The WTC has been around in its third iteration now. It's really high time the ICC takes a look at it in terms of how do they make it different, how do they make it more relevant, how do they make it more useful, and truly reflect that somebody that wins it is really a world test champion, rather than just uh, they just got through because they just had to play a minimum number of games. It's a otherwise they just just do away with the concept altogether. It's fine. Let's just go back to what it was earlier.
No, I think liking you're right, Jaga, because Australia and South Africa, I just now checked, they have played 7 tests between themselves in the last 7 years.
Wow.
So, like you said, that 4 tests in the sandpaper series, and then the 22-23, there was 3 test series in Australia. So, there are, between 18 and 25, they've just played 7 tests between each other. So, this is not a level playing field. The idea of only the first 3 tests count, and other teams like South Africa, West Indies, Sri Lanka,
New Zealand.
Pakistan, all these teams getting a chance. I think somebody would have been unhappy this year that South Africa has qualified to the finals. They would have wanted England or India to be playing Australia, I think, or England versus India. Something one of those, 2 of those 3 big teams would be ideal for marketing and advertising revenue and all that. But South Africa, it has to be mentioned that though, in spite of they sending a second string or a third string team to New Zealand in this cycle, they have managed to reach the final this time.
That was
Uh,
like their fourth or fifth, or they had as many strings on a violin or a veena or something like that.
So that team went and lost both the tests in New Zealand. I mean, because it was clashing with SA T20, and in fact, a lot of people voiced out saying they have to schedule better. Even Rabada, as a person, I think he wanted
Yeah.
to play SA T20 also, and also wanted to play Test cricket. So the scheduling clash, people were not happy about it. But the people chose the SA 20 option, and they didn't go
Yeah.
for the tests. But that is okay. The ICC cannot say anything to Cricket South Africa about that and things like that. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is, even you were willing to lose a series and you were not very serious about WTC
Right.
initially, which in spite of it, you made it to the finals. So the scheduling and the point system derived out of suddenly a 5 test series, suddenly a 2 test series
Yeah.
is not a level playing field. There should be something, like you say, away wins should get more points. I mean, even in IPL, people are talking about away wins getting more weightage. Which is within a country you talk about. But in a World Test Championship, definitely the away wins should carry more points, more weightage. And also, there should be a minimum number of tests everybody plays against everybody. Otherwise, it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. Even this time, the World Cup, the 50-over World Cup, they ensured that every team played every team once before
Yeah. Correct.
qualifying
Yeah.
for the semi-finals. They didn't
Right. Yeah.
group it into Group A and Group B this time.
Yeah.
So, likewise, a World Test Championship is much bigger. I mean, players like Virat Kohli has voiced out saying that it is 5 levels bigger than winning an IPL and things like that. And a lot of people are saying that Virat Kohli is the savior of Test cricket, and also a lot of people want Test cricket to survive amidst all this franchise cricket and T20 and white balls. So, in that sense, we have to bring
I
a
think
much better.
honestly, I think that's only 35 and above year olds that are saying it, right?
No, no.
I
I
don't
mean,
know if anybody
I'm
younger
talking
is.
about the ex-players and commentators who are definitely 40 plus, 50 plus in case. So,
So even
but
Virat and Rohit are all in that age group anyway.
okay. So that in that case, so the playing field should be level, I feel. So I think the first 3, taking into account only the first 3 tests, will push the individual cricket
Yeah.
boards to play more test series, because they would not have got the points decided. Say India plays a
Yes.
5 test series with New Zealand at home. I mean, barring the last set test series, India might win the test series. But
Correct.
only
Yeah.
if the 3 tests are counted, then they would be
Right.
forced to play again another South Africa or West Indies. So, which gives
Yeah.
opportunity for other teams to play also.
Yeah, and I think South Africa may actually be thinking that or get the Murray, even with a C or a D team, I'm at number 1 on the table. What are you guys doing?
So, I mean, when they sent, they wouldn't have settled, but now there's a big get for them, actually. Exactly. So,
What
I,
about the final itself? This is like the third time it's being played in England. What is the deal? Like just because it's at the world map, like it's at the center, that's why it's there,
I
is it?
always, even from the first year, I mean, I've always, even when India went and played New Zealand and lost, even though it was not, I mean, India lost two WTC finals in a row now. So it's going to take a lot of years for somebody to do that. Even Australia lose tomorrow, they wouldn't have won
Yeah, yeah.
twice. So the thing is, I always felt that the final being in England has to be changed. I think recently I heard somewhere that the next cycle India has requested ICC to host the
Oh,
final. I don't know. I mean, how India has requested. I don't know. Maybe Jay Shah requested himself.
left hand to right hand. But
So
Jesha doesn't have an official post in the BCCI. So,
okay, okay. So Roger Binney sent an email to Jay Shah.
ah,
That's how it is. But whatever it is, I always feel, even from the first year, I felt this that the team that finishes third on the table, that country should get the hosting rights of the final. That will bring
okay.
the competition also much more evener in terms of say, for example, this time in India, South Africa and Australia playing in India would have been a very nice contest because both of them, the wickets in India, both of them are
Yeah.
not used to the wickets in India. And I don't remember, I mean, I think 1 year last year or before that, it was Pakistan, I think. I don't know if India would have
Was
gone to
number three,
Pakistan.
is it? Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. I think so.
so I don't think if India would have gone to Pakistan at that time, I'm not sure about it. But still, I mean, that still you can work out something because Pakistan
Yeah, yeah.
last 10 years, most of their home games have been in the Middle East.
Correct.
So those kind of things can be ICC can definitely work out. So the team that finishes third has also been in the race
Yeah.
effectively. So that board should benefit out of the TV telecast revenues, ticket
Right,
revenues,
right.
and all those things. So I always feel it should be a fixed thing that the team that finishes third will host the final. It's my strong opinion about it ever since the first WTC final era.
Is there a risk of maybe the crowds not being there because it's essentially it may not be too interesting to see two neutral teams playing it out, right? But
That way, it has always been neutral teams in the three finals, Jaga. Now,
oh yeah,
India, New
actually,
Zealand,
yeah,
India,
correct, correct.
Australia, Australia, South
Yeah, yeah,
Africa. So, England has not made it yet. So,
yeah.
that
Okay,
is
fair enough. Yeah.
so that way. So, I still think that the third finishing team should be given that benefit
Hmm.
for being in the race for a period of 2 years, and the board also benefits. So, that gives an incentive for people to even finish third. The three, four,
Yeah.
five, those
Now
three
they get
teams will be
nothing. They get some money, but
yeah. So the three, four, five, the teams that are effectively in the race will actually fight to finish third. That you
yeah,
make it more competitive in a way. Sometimes if you know that you are not going to finish in the top two, the interest dies down. When you
yeah,
are in
yeah, true.
five, you can still finish third and still get to host the final. That is, I mean, hosting an ICC event final would be a great thing, even if it's
Right,
Bangladesh for that matter. I mean,
right.
Bangladesh finishing third is stretching too far, but I'm just saying that all those things would make the contest even better, I feel.
Plus, I think the fact that it's being now, it will be held in the country that plays third means that it is a neutral venue by default, right? Now, when you have fixed the venue as England, then if England made it to the finals, then it would be a home advantage for
Unfair
England, which
advantage to
does not
England.
seem right.
Unfair advantage to England. I mean, in
Yeah.
spite of it, they have not made it the three times.
See, the basketball ஆடிட்டு இருக்கச்சே, I don't see them getting anywhere near the top four, leave alone top three. So,
So, so that I think that should be an interesting thing if ICC takes up. Like you say, there have been three iterations of WTC now. So I think ICC have to take stock of how the points are awarded, how the which
yeah,
tests are going to be counted for WTC, which tests are
correct.
not going to be, and the venue of the final. All these things, if they can come up with a newer structure for the next cycle, 25 to 27, would it be nicer? And only make the game more interesting. If you want the Test cricket to survive, you keep shouting that Test cricket should survive, survive, survive. Bring much more competitiveness among other teams also. I think
Correct. Yeah.
West Indies, South Africa, Sri Lanka are all forgotten almost.
Yeah. Pakistan also.
Yeah, Pakistan, and that is why you see a lot of retirements in the last 5 6 years. We see a lot of
Mm.
retirements. People who don't want to play Test cricket. I mean, Quinton de Kock and Trent Bolt come to my mind immediately. The last 2 3 years, I mean, Quinton de Kock, in fact, immediately said it is very tempting. Franchise cricket is very
Yeah.
tempting. So that's why I had to give up playing for the country. So this and now in the last 15 days we have had Henrik Klassen. Maxwell, Nicholas Puran, who's just 29, is retired from international cricket. So because the franchise cricket gives them more money, you running a WTC championship alone is not the way to make Test cricket survive the long. You have to effectively bring in more players, more countries. I mean, already cricket is a Test cricket is a
Yeah,
game which is played only by a very handful of countries. Within that, if the if the level playing field is not there, just the three teams are always playing, and then it's
correct.
not just not. It's become a triangular series of India, England, Australia. Instead of WTC, it is AIE or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's also talk about creating tiered structure in the WTC and things like that. But even that doesn't make sense if you're always going to have some teams that are perennially in the top of these. So, like if there's no concept of demotion, promotion, then what is the point in running to then there are two leagues operating in parallel to each other.
Exactly.
It basically doesn't make any difference. You might as well just call one of them as WTC one, the other is WTC two, and
So
they never meet.
there should be promotion and demotion. If that is the last two teams go down, then the first two teams go up. It is okay. Sometimes somebody goes from the second stage, second level to they might find it difficult to cope up there. It is okay, but the
Yeah.
teams will figure out. The countries, the boards, the coaching structures, everything will figure out.
But I think the fear is also that, especially now that we see the Indian test team in a fair amount of transition, if they get demoted, then you'll see a big dip in
No, if you get
rights
demoted, it's only
revenues.
one cycle. See, the Indian
Yeah.
test team, if it's going to get demoted to playing the likes of Ireland and Bangladesh and Afghanistan, it's
Or
so easy
even
for
Sri Lanka and New Zealand, right? It's not like a
yeah,
dishonor or something like that.
exactly. So beat them and go to the next level.
Yeah.
The next time in one cycle you play there. If you are in a in fact, it helps you if you are in a transition meeting
Fair enough. Yeah.
playing these low ranked teams.
Yeah, imagine this batting lineup coming up against Cummins, Hazelwood, Stark, and Lyon on a every year basis. There, it's not going anywhere.
It's
It's not
not
going
going
to
to.
be fun.
I mean, even now, an Anderson less England itself is worrying. We've spoken about it before.
Yeah. Anyway, good. So yeah, I think we covered most of it. Yeah, like you mentioned, there's certainly a big impact that franchise cricket has had over a lot of international players retiring over the last few years. I mean, we had these three recent examples. There have been others in the past, and I think I don't know who it was. He said, "Look, I don't even know when I'm going to play a proper Test series next. Then why would I hang around and then hoping that I'll get called?" And I mean, then you think about somebody like a Pujara or a Rahane for a long period of time. They were not certainties in the ODI side also, let alone T20 side. So like, what do they look forward to? So I think there's a huge responsibility now on the ICC to get this WTC thing together. It's been around for 3 seasons now. It's like do it now, right? Don't wait for any more, and otherwise just collapse.
Yeah, no, I mean, no point telling we run the WTC to make sure Test cricket survives. You have to do the right things also to make ensure that it really survives. It's not about India, Australia, England playing all the time. 10, 15 tests among themselves. It's not about it. Yes, I understand the competitiveness is much more when these three teams play, but it's ICC's responsibility to bring the other teams also to the same
Yeah,
level. I think
correct,
now
correct.
is
Yeah,
a great option because India's team is not as competitive as England or
or
Australia.
even Australia in a few years, like once these top fast bowlers go away, and their
Yes,
batting will also go into some sort of a flux with Smith and Labuschagne and Head and all these guys also retiring, say 2, 3 years later. A lot of at least India and Australia, maybe in the next 1 or 2 years cycle, will probably see a similar amount of churn. England
exactly.
has had their cycle change again, but you have Root is still there, but Anderson and Broad retired recently, so all teams go through it. They will go through the ups and the downs, and then how they come out of it, that's what they have to look forward to. Cool, great. So we look forward to a wonderful WTC, and we'll try and come back again in the next few days. Until then, thanks a lot. Please do subscribe to the channel and leave your comments.
Thank you. Thanks all.
Bye.